to the beautiful YouTube world. Hi, I'm Nikki, and I'm here to give you my top tips for completing your novel. I literally just sat down 2 minutes ago and I've written down a whole list of things. If you see me looking down, that's why I've written them all down. So my number one tip, well, it's not my number one tip, but it's my first tip I'm going to talk to you about is planning. Now, you've probably heard this before, like plan, but this probably isn't going to be the same thing that you've heard before, because I am not the biggest advocate of planning before writing a novel. Now, hear me out before this sounds really bad. I am the advocate of the half plan, half not plan approach. People call them pantsers. I really don't like that word just because, I don't know, it just sounds like their stuff's not going to be good. And that's not necessarily true. I think you should always half plan and half just leave room for spontaneity. And this is my reason why. If you plan something so solidly and you're not flexible and you write, then you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities along the way. Some characters that might want to come a bit more into the foreground, some events that aren't actually necessary to your novel that you thought they were in the planning phase. Because obviously in the conception of the idea, you think everything's amazing. This is why you've written it down on paper and you've planned it. But as you're writing it, it might not be the best idea for the story, and so I always think that you should do like a half plan. Now, this doesn't mean starting your plan and then like stopping planning your novel halfway through the novel, like literally, and being like, I'm going to leave the ending open, because that's not necessarily how you do it. But I think there's some things that should be left to choice, and you shouldn't stress too much if you don't have everything 100% planned. Like, otherwise, I mean, firstly, you'll never start. And secondly, there might be a few little things, like you might be like, oh, I don't know what his surname is, Ned. It doesn't matter. Start, and as you write this character, you'll realise what kind of name suits him. So yeah, that's my first tip. My second tip is to get yourself a writing schedule. Now, for me, I've been terrible with this in the past few years, and I've only gotten really good at it recently, and I technically still don't even have a writing schedule, but I'll tell you what I do is that I set myself like a word count goal, but this is for every week. I found that if I set myself a word count goal for every single day, I get demotivated if I miss a day, and then that leads into many days of missing the deadlines. Whereas if I say to myself, oh, I'm going to hit 5,000 words in the next 3 days, or 10,000 words every week, then I feel better, because even if I miss a day, I then know it's on me. And so I know that the next day I say I have to write 3,000 words just to catch up to my goal. And that works a lot better for me, but you need to find the way that works best for you. Some people might be totally fine thinking, oh, I've got to write 500 words per day. That doesn't work for me. Sometimes I give myself a minimum, like 500 words is usually my minimum per day. But then that means I don't feel bad if I've had a busy day and I only managed to write 500, because I think, well, I can make it up in the rest of the week, because I don't tally everything until the end of the week, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, it might be easy for you to have a day by day or week by week or a month by month, but just make sure that, do it with SMART goals. So, number 3 is to read. And this is a cliche one, because everyone says it, like, you can't write if you don't read. And I guess sometimes it doesn't always feel like it's true, because you think, oh, I haven't read a book in a while, but it's fine because I'm writing and I still like what I'm writing. But I would really, really stress reading. And the thing is, you don't want to spend so much time writing that you don't have time to read. That cannot be your excuse. That is ludicrous. That cannot be. It's like someone who's trying to get healthier and fitter and doing it correctly and stuff, and they're like, oh, I just spend so much time at the gym, I just don't get the time to eat healthily. No, it's an equal balance. Writing is actually not writing. Writing is equal parts writing and reading. And if you find that you're spending so much time writing and going around and doing other things like work or whatever that you're not reading, I would generally suggest sit down and carve some time out of every single day that you have to read, or at least every single week you must have read, one book or half a book, or you've got to read. And the reason why is because it'll help you subconsciously. I mean, if you think about how you got into writing and how you got good at writing, it was probably through reading other books, right? And secondly, don't just read with no real goal. I mean, you can read for enjoyment and stuff, but I think every now and then it's really handy to sit down and read intentionally. Read, sit down, look through like a sentence and think, why do I like this sentence so much? Why do I like this author? What's his style? How's it? And not to copy his style, but just to realize that he's got this style going down. And why does it work for him? And how does it? How does he tell the story? And why are the characters compelling? Why is this particular metaphor compelling? And you can go through and highlight books. I know, shocking. Oh my goodness, highlighting a book. But seriously, like if you want to get good, highlight the books. You can always get another copy, you know. So I think that's just a really important topic. Number 4, don't edit. I don't tend to have this problem, but a lot of people do, so I thought I'd put that in because most people seem to have this issue of while they're writing going back to edit. But what I would say is that there are 2 phases of writing. One is writing, well 3 I guess, reading, writing, and editing. You're not in the editing phase, you're in the writing phase, so stop editing. Like, seriously, just don't, there's no point. You're going to waste your time and it's going to take a lot longer for you to finish your story. Number 5, I'm going to say it's number 5. You can't edit a blank page. And this is a quote that I absolutely love. And I read it on the internet and it was like, you can't edit a blank page. And it's so true. And it's like one of the biggest pieces of writing inspiration ever. And, you know, even if you write a crappy page, you can edit it later. You can't edit a blank page. So at least get something down. And then you can work from there. So never really think, oh, it's not going to be good, so I'm just not going to write it. Just write it anyway. You probably get something good from it. So there you go. Number 6, find a mentor. This is a new one. It's not one I usually hear, but I think it's one that's quite handy. I think you need to find someone that helps you in your writing journey. That keeps you motivated, but that is also honest and can rip down and rip apart your work if need be. Someone that you trust, someone whose writing that you like, or at least if you don't like, that you admire or you aspire to be, or that you just respect. For me, well, I'm not going to say who mine is because technically they don't know that they're that person yet, and they'll probably get a big head from it. But this is a man whose work I admire, whose character I admire, who I trust to edit my work, who I trust to be honest, definitely trust to be honest about my work. And I think that'll just kind of like help you and keep you motivated because, for example, if I'm writing something for me, and trust me, you won't realize how much you do this until you notice. If I'm writing something for me, I'll think, oh yeah, this is pretty good. But then if I know that I have to give it in to this person, I just become a perfectionist, and I realize how much better my work could be if I knew that I was handing everything into this person. Do you know what I mean? So I think you just need to, I think a mentor will really help improve your work and change how you look at your work and how you edit it. And, you know, it could be anyone. It could be your parents, or maybe not because they'll probably just love your work anyway. But think about it. Number 7, edit other people's work. This is the best thing I've learned about writing in the past 2 years. I study creative writing, and before I started this course, I never really liked to edit my work. I don't think I understood what editing meant. And even writing. Now, don't get me wrong, I've said don't edit while you're writing, but editing can influence, it can be a part of pre-preparing for writing your book. If you edit other people's work, you're going to realize why you don't like certain things about them, what you do like about them, and your writing's going to be much better, because I tell you what will happen. You'll be writing, and then you'll suddenly think, ooh, if someone else wrote that, I would rip it to shreds, and then you'll be like, maybe I shouldn't write that. Probably not the best. That's a bit cliche, or that's a bit, don't like this metaphor, or whatever. And it'll really help. So I think that's just the biggest thing, edit other people's work in your spare time, and you realize how much you do the things that you claim you don't like in other people's work. So, and then everyone's less of a hypocrite. It all just makes the world better. Number 8, carry a notebook and observe people. To be fair, it's the 21st century, so just take your phone. Who doesn't have their phone on them? And just, if you don't have one, download a notebook app and just observe people and write down what you observe. And if you have any ideas, write down what you observe. I have read this piece of advice 500 times since I was about 3, because I've wanted to write since I was really tiny. And I always read carry a notebook, carry a notebook, carry a notebook. And to be fair, I did try. It's like a 10-year-old. I tried to carry a notebook around. It lasted for like 3 days, and then I just didn't do it. And I was like, you know what? It's not essential because I'm still writing my stories. Does it matter? It matters. You will save so many more ideas. Your ideas are going to be so much better because you'll be able to look through and filter things through. There'll be descriptions and sentences that'll pop into your mind in the middle of the night that you've got, and then like a month later you can slot it into that work and it's going to be beautiful. Just seriously, carry around a notebook or your phone and a pen all times. Okay. Follow your characters. This leads back into number 1, and this is a case of not fully planning everything. If you've planned something and your characters want to do something different, let them do it. The characters are in charge. You're not in charge. You're just the writer now. The characters have their lives to live out. You are following your writers and writing down. You're following your characters and writing down what they're doing. You're not in charge. You're a fly on the wall. You don't get to step into their world and change it. Just watch. You can change it later, but you need to see what's happening, because this is the character that you created, and that's what they want to do, and that's how their mind is working. So don't change things, because it will be out of character, and trust me, your readers will notice. Number 10, stay motivated. Writing a novel is long work, and it can take several months, years. I mean, you're probably better off writing a short story or a novella. Like, trust me, there will be that point where you're halfway through your novel and you think, this could just be a novella. I could have written a novella. I would be done by now. That would be great. But no, you chose the crazy route. So stay motivated. My favourite method is Instagram and Twitter. And there's a great writing community. And if you just type in #ImWriting, you just get to see all these pictures of people post like every day of them writing. And it's really cute and it really inspires me. I don't know if it'll inspire you, but I think it's very cool. Number 11, music. Now, one way of not getting distracted by the internet is obviously to turn it off, but I don't do that. I don't really have that option. So what I do is I'll put up a soundtrack, and I tell myself, and it's like a really epic like film soundtrack, like 2 Steps from Hell kind of jazz. And I tell myself I'm not allowed to look up from my Word document until that soundtrack is over. And by all means, if I don't want to write, that's fine, but you cannot get out of that Word document. So I would be sitting there for 42 minutes just staring at it if I didn't write. And it kind of just forces you to write and continue and give yourself kind of like a pacing rhythm. You can pick a longer soundtrack or a shorter soundtrack, but I find that it really helps stay motivated and keep on track with things. And my final tip for y'all, number 11, I just held up 7 fingers for number 11. There we go. Is to write in the small moments. And this also kind of links back to carrying a notebook. You don't know when you're going to get time to write. You might have a busy lifestyle. Even if you don't, you'll find that you'll write a lot more and you'll finish your novel a lot quicker if you have something to write with at all times. You could be on the bus for 5 minutes. Right. Why not? You could be on the train home. An hour train journey? Do you know how many words you could write in that hour? You could be doing anything. You could be popping to the corner shop and you can write. Okay? And I just think that is such a big thing. J.K. Rowling did it, so I feel like, that's all the encouragement you really need to do that. That's how she finished Harry Potter, writing their spare moments. And I think that's how a lot of authors finish, because let's not pretend that published authors have just this bank of time available to them. They don't. They use it smartly. And sometimes it doesn't even require taking out 5 hours of your day. It just requires to write in those small moments. You're going to university, write on your way to class. I mean, if you're that eager to finish your novel, you will do it. So those are my 11 tips of advice. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm done with this video. Goodbye, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. Good night, no way. Oh my goodness, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, adieu, to you and you and you, diddly-diddly-doo. I'd like to stay and taste my first champagne. Yes? No. Diddly-doo. Bye.